The crystal vase slips in my hands as I arrange the last pink peony. My fingers catch it before it crashes, but not before the sharp edge bites into my thumb. I watch a tiny bead of blood well up, bright against my skin. Just one more imperfection to add to my collection: the chipped polish on my nails, the coffee stain on my sleeve, the tension headache pulsing behind my eyes. Perfect. I whisper the word like a prayer, stepping back to survey the grand ballroom at the Riverside Hotel. White tablecloths float over 30 round tables, each one crowned with the flower arrangements I've spent the last 3 hours perfecting. The late afternoon sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the parquet floor. In 6 hours, this room will host my parents' 25th anniversary celebration. My phone buzzes. Again. The screen lights up with my sister Jessica's text. "Are the place cards done?" Mom's freaking about the seating chart. Before I can respond, another message pops up from my brother. "Hey Em, you remember Dad's cousin from Phoenix, right? The one with the shellfish allergy?" I close my eyes, drawing in a slow breath. The place cards are done. They've been done since last week. The seating chart has gone through 12 revisions. And yes, I remembered Cousin Robert's allergy. Just like I remembered Aunt Margaret needs a chair with arms, and Uncle Pete can't sit near the speakers because of his hearing aid. The phone rings. "Mom." "Emily? The caterer needs the final head count. And you did remember your father's cousin from Phoenix?" "Yes, Mom. Everything's handled." I rub my temples, watching a waiter wheel in the gift table. He positions it exactly where I marked with blue tape this morning. 78 guests, and Robert's meal especially marked. What would we do without you? The words should warm me, but they land like stones in my stomach. "Oh, and can you check if—" "Actually, Mom?" The words slip out before I can stop them. "I was thinking, maybe I could just attend. You know, as a guest this time?" A pause. Then a light laugh that makes my throat tight. "Oh, honey, who would pull this off if not you? You know how these things go." Yes, I do. I see myself at 16, staying up until 3 a.m. to finish Mom's surprise 40th birthday decorations while Jessica and Mark slept. I remember the monthly drives home from college to help Dad organize the family business paperwork. Last year, I took 2 weeks of unpaid leave to salvage Mark's wedding when his planner quit. "Emily will handle it, she always does." "You're right." My voice sounds distant to my own ears. "I'll handle it." The phone buzzes again as soon as I hang up. "Jessica, we'd be lost without you. Just do what you always do. You're so good at it." Mark's voicemail follows. You know I'd just mess it up. Besides, Seattle's too far. You've got this, right?" I walk to the ladies' room, needing a moment just to breathe. The champagne dress I bought specially for tonight hangs on the back of the door. The silk catches the light, promising something different. Something special. My reflection stares back at me as I slip it on. The color warms my skin, the cut elegant but understated. For once, I look like someone who belongs at the party, not behind the scenes. Will they even see me in this? I whisper to my reflection. She doesn't answer. The next few hours blur into a checklist of final details. Check the sound system. Confirm the timing with the MC. Review the slideshow one last time. My phone never stops buzzing. When the first guests arrive, everything is perfect. Every detail exactly as Mom and Dad dreamed. I stand back, watching family fill the room with laughter and warmth. "Emily?" My cousin Rachel touches my arm. "I think they sat you at the vendor table near the MC, you know, closer to logistics?" The words hit like ice water. "What?" I walk to the family table, the one I arranged myself, with the special chargers and the extra centerpiece. Place cards mark seats for Mom, Dad, Jessica, Mark, their spouses. Aunts, uncles, cousins. But not me. "Oh, honey." Mom appears beside me, patting my arm. Her diamond bracelet catches the light. "We thought you'd prefer being with the team. Didn't want to drag you into formalities." The room spins slightly. The buzz of conversation, the clink of glasses, the soft music from the string quartet, it all blurs into white noise. I look down at my champagne dress, at my carefully styled hair, at the tiny cut on my thumb that hasn't quite stopped bleeding. I've spent 25 years making sure everyone in my family shines. I never realized that meant I had disappeared. My legs shake as I approach Mom near the string quartet. The music flows around us, a waltz my brother picked for the first dance. the one I actually selected. Should I just squeeze in here? My voice catches. I gesture to the family table where aunts, uncles, and cousins crowd together, shoulders touching as they lean in to share stories. Mom adjusts her pearl necklace, the one Dad gave her on their 20th anniversary. Oh, sweetie, you'll be much more comfortable at the vendor table. That way you can coordinate with the MC about the timing. She pats my arm, already turning toward Jessica, who's waving from across the room. Besides, you're always saying you need to stay on top of things. The MC taps his microphone, and the feedback pierces through the quartet's music. Ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful evening. Before we begin the celebrations, let's give a big hand to the incredible planning team that made this evening possible. I hold my breath waiting for my name. The wonderful staff here at the Riverside Hotel, our outstanding caterers, and the talented musicians. The applause washes over me like cold water. I clutch my champagne glass tighter, knuckles white against the crystal stem. The slideshow starts, images flowing across the screen. Dad teaching Mark to ride a bike, Mom and Jessica making Christmas cookies, family vacations at Lake Tahoe. Each photo I spent weeks selecting, carefully arranging into a story of 25 years of love. But as the pictures scroll past, my throat tightens. Out of 60 photographs, I appear in exactly 2. The first, half hidden behind a Christmas tree. The second, a blur of motion as I set up Mom's birthday cake. Mark, this is incredible. Uncle Pete claps my brother on the shoulder. You really outdid yourself with this presentation. Mark grins, accepting the praise. Thanks, just wanted to do something special for Mom and Dad. I slip between clusters of guests, their voices blending together. Such thoughtful children. Always ready to help. You must be so proud of what you've raised. A warm hand touches my elbow. Aunt Margaret stands beside me, her eyes soft behind her glasses. She leans close, voice low. You look beautiful tonight, Emily. That dress is stunning on you. Before I can respond, Mom calls everyone together for photos. Emily, you take them. You have such an eye for these things. The camera feels heavy in my hands. Through the viewfinder, I watch my family arrange themselves. Mom and Dad in the center, Jessica and Mark flanking them with their spouses. Aunts and uncles filling in the edges. A perfect family portrait. Wait, Dad frowns, looking around. Was it Jessica or Emily who put all this together? One of the girls, anyway. The camera slips slightly in my grip. Jessica laughs, high and bright. Dad, Emily's been planning this for months. You know how she is about details. Right. He nods, already turning back to pose. Emily, make sure you get everyone in frame. The pictures are done and I step out. My phone buzzes. A text from Rachel, my best friend since 3rd grade. You look beautiful. Are you actually enjoying yourself for once? The words blur on the screen. I blink hard, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Finally, I open the family group chat instead. Everything's running smoothly. I'll step out early to recharge. Love you all. The valet brings my car around. I sit behind the wheel, hands trembling as I pull up the Alaska Airlines website. The purchase ticket button glows in the darkness of my car. Outside, through the ballroom windows, I can see my family laughing, dancing, celebrating. They don't notice when I drive away. 20 minutes later, at home, I pull my passport from the drawer where it sat unused for 5 years. My suitcase lies open on the bed, half packed with warm sweaters and thermal layers. The journal Mom gave me last Christmas, still blank, waiting for words. The family group chat stays silent. I stand at my window watching the city lights flicker like distant stars. From somewhere deep inside, a truth rises that I've spent my whole life trying not to hear. Sometimes the loudest statement is an empty chair. 2 hours later, my coat bunches under my head, making a lumpy pillow against the airport terminal's plastic seat. The flight to Anchorage boards in 3 hours. My phone screen glows in the pre-dawn darkness. 47 notifications from the family group chat. I click into Instagram instead, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Sometimes you have to go where no one expects anything from you. The words flow out before I can second-guess them. My thumb hovers over the post button. The old Emily would never. The old Emily would already be home, sorting through party cleanup details, answering endless questions about leftover cake and rental returns. I press post. Then I open my phone settings and turn off notifications from the family chat. The silence fills my chest like the first breath after swimming underwater too long. Later that evening, the lights break over the horizon as our plane lifts off, painting the clouds in shades of pearl and rose gold. I press my forehead against the cold window, watching Seattle disappear beneath us. Somewhere down there, my family wakes to find my empty apartment. My neatly written note, "Taking some time, I'll call when I'm ready." The Anchorage landscape hits me like a reset button the next morning we land. White stretches in every direction, broken only by dark forests and jagged mountains. No to-do lists, no expectations. No careful smiles, and, of course, I can handle that. The tour van bumps along icy roads toward my lodging, carrying me and 6 other travelers seeking winter solitude. First time in Alaska? I turn to find kind eyes watching me from the seat across the aisle. Silver hair, artist's hands stained with charcoal, a sketchbook balanced on her knee. First time traveling alone, I admit. She nods, understanding filling her face. I started traveling solo after my Henry passed. It gets easier. A smile touches her eyes. Then it gets wonderful. An hour later, my cabin door closes behind me with a soft click. Silence wraps around me like a blanket, no phone buzzing, no voices calling my name, no lists of needs to fulfill. The panic rises fast and hard, squeezing my chest. My hands shake as I unpack my small bag, hanging up the clothes I grabbed without thinking. The silence screams in my ears. I grab my phone, muscle memory reaching for the family chat. The notifications are still off. No one has tried to call. No private messages asking where I am. My new journal lies on the bed, leather cover still stiff and uncreased. The first words spill onto the blank page. Did I disappear, or was I never really there? I took a shower, then went to explore the surroundings, and came back for dinner later that day to encounter a meeting of new people, my new friends. The lodge's common room glows with firelight. Sarah, the nurse from Minneapolis, ladles salmon stew into ceramic bowls while telling us about her own burnout journey. 6 years in the ICU, she says, passing me a steaming bowl. One day I walked out mid-shift. Bought a ticket to Alaska that night. Her laugh holds no apology. Sometimes the only way to stop drowning is to let go of the rope they're using to pull you under. Mike, the Montana hiker with wild gray hair and weathered skin, teaches me to build a fire in the stone hearth. My first attempt collapses into smoke. The second catches, flames dancing between the logs. "Look at that," he says, pride warming his voice. "You've got the touch." Margaret, the silver-haired artist, sets up her easel by the window. Her charcoal moves in swift strokes across the paper as I stare into the fire. "You have such presence when you think no one's watching," she murmurs. I turn to find my own profile taking shape on her page, head lifted, firelight catching the angles of my face. The woman in the drawing looks nothing like the Emily who fades into the background of family photos. A laugh bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me, surprising us both. It sounds nothing like my careful chuckle at family gatherings. This laugh belongs to someone else entirely. The Northern Lights tour leaves at midnight. We strap on snowshoes following our guide into the silent forest. Snow crunches beneath our feet. The air bites at our faces, sharp and clean. "Look up," our guide whispers. The sky explodes into ribbons of green and violet, dancing across the stars. My breath catches. The other travelers gasp and point, but I stand motionless, neck craned back, watching the lights paint the darkness. "You know what I love about the aurora?" Our guide's voice carries quiet in the crystal air. "It doesn't demand attention, it just shows up, and people travel across the world to see it." The tears freeze on my cheeks. I reach up to brush them away, but they've already turned to diamonds in the starlight. Back in my cabin later that night, I pull out my journal. The words flow faster now, sure and steady. Maybe I was never meant to serve. Maybe I was meant to shine. The northern lights dance outside my window, casting green shadows across the page. For the first time in my life, I'm not arranging anyone else's view of them. I'm not making sure everyone has the right angle, the perfect photo opportunity, the best experience. I'm just watching them shine. And somehow, impossibly, that feels like enough. My phone lights up for the first time in 3 days. The screen fills with notifications, cascading like dominoes. I watch them stack up from my cabin's window seat, the Alaskan wilderness stretching white and endless beyond the glass. Mom's voicemail comes first. Where were you, Emily? You left without saying anything. Call me back immediately. Mark's text follows. You really scared, Mom. Could have told us you were leaving. Jessica chimes in with 4 messages in rapid succession. Did you schedule the florist for Mom's garden club next week? Emily, this isn't funny. Mom's freaking out about who's going to coordinate Christmas. At least tell us where you are. I press my forehead against the cold window, watching my breath fog the glass. 3 days of silence, and their first concerns are about logistics. The garden club. Christmas coordination. The familiar weight settles in my chest, but this time I let it pass through me like the pale winter sunlight. My fingers hover over the keyboard before I type, Family meeting, FaceTime, 7 p.m. your time tomorrow. Their responses flood in instantly. Mom wants to talk now. Jessica has a PTA meeting. Mark mentions the time difference from Seattle. 7 p.m. Eastern. Non-negotiable. The next evening, I position my laptop carefully. The window behind me frames the snow-covered peaks, and the setting sun paints the sky in shades of rose and amber. I've chosen this backdrop deliberately a visual reminder that I'm not in their world anymore. Their faces pop up one by one. Mom in her reading glasses, Dad still in his work shirt, Jessica in her kitchen, Mark with his Seattle skyline visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. Their expressions shift from relief to confusion as they take in my location. Emily? Mom leans closer to her screen. Where are you? Alaska. The word falls into the silence like a stone into still water. I needed some distance. Alaska? Mark's eyebrows shoot up. What about your job? I took leave. My voice remained steady, practiced from 3 days of rehearsing this moment. I did say something at the anniversary party. You just didn't think it was serious because I've never walked away before. What do you mean you said something? Jessica's forehead creases. You just disappeared. I told Mom I wanted to attend as a guest. I asked to sit with my family. I spent 3 hours watching everyone celebrate while I stood in the background, exactly where you've always put me. Dad's face goes still. Mom's hand flies to her throat, a gesture I've seen 1,000 times when she's caught off guard. We honestly thought you were happiest organizing things, Mom says, her voice small. You're so good at it. The laugh that escapes me holds no humor. That's the problem. You didn't see me at all. You saw a function, a resource. The reliable daughter who handles everything so no one else has to be inconvenienced. Jessica shifts in her seat. Mark looks down at his hands. Their discomfort radiates through the screen. From now on, things will be different. I straighten my spine, channeling the strength of the mountains behind me. If I organize anything, it will be because I choose to, and I expect clear acknowledgement. If I say I'm tired, believe me the first time. If I attend family events, I attend as Emily, your daughter and sister, not your unpaid coordinator. The silence stretches. I watch them process my words, their faces a familiar map of reactions I've memorized over 3 decades. I am your daughter, I continue, my voice catching slightly. Not your event planner, not your secretary, not your safety net. Dad clears his throat. His eyes, so like mine, meet my gaze through the screen. I don't think I've ever really asked what you wanted. The simple admission cracks something open in my chest. Mom wipes at her eyes, smudging her mascara. I took advantage. Mark's words come slowly. It was easier to let you handle everything. I knew you would. We all did. Jessica's voice wavers. I never stopped to think what it cost you. The sun has nearly set behind me. Soon the stars will emerge, and if I'm lucky, the aurora will paint the sky in ribbons of light. My family's faces glow blue in their separate screens, waiting for my response. I'm extending my stay in Alaska. But Christmas, Mom starts. Will happen without my organizing it. I touch my screen gently, an echo of the way I used to squeeze her hand. You'll figure it out, you have to. When will you come home, Dad asks. I look out at the deepening twilight. The scariest part wasn't leaving. It was realizing I should have done it sooner. I'll come home when I'm ready. When I'm sure you see me, really see me and, not just the roles I've played. The silence that follows holds more truth than any words could carry. In 5 separate frames, a family confronts the shape of their daughter's absence, and a daughter learns the power of her own voice. Behind me, the first stars begin to shine. The messages start arriving at dawn. My phone vibrates against the wooden nightstand, each buzz like a small accusation. Mom's crying again. She burned the casserole for the church potluck. Jessica's text glows in the darkness. You know she always relied on your timing. I watch the sun rise over the Alaskan mountains through my cabin window, painting the snow in shades of rose gold. My fingers hover over the keyboard, ready with the automatic response, the offer to call Mom, to walk her through the recipe timing, to fix everything. Instead, I set the phone face down. The next message comes from Mark during my morning walk along the frozen shoreline. The quarterly business review is next week. Dad's completely lost without your spreadsheets. A pause then. Come on, Em, you've made your point. Have I? The question follows me as I crunch through fresh snow, my breath clouding in the crisp air. Back in my cabin, I pull out my journal, no longer the meticulous to-do lists and family schedules, but pages filled with watercolor sketches of the aurora, notes about the play of light on ice, observations of the wild quiet that fills spaces where obligations used to live. Sometimes healing looks like disappointing people. I write. The words don't shake my hand anymore. My art teacher Martha calls me over during afternoon class the next day. Your brushstrokes are bolder today, she says, studying my attempt to capture last night's aurora. The painting won't win awards, the colors bleed together in places, the composition lacks technical skill, but the joy of creation radiates from every imperfect line. I used to think I couldn't take up space, I tell her, adding another streak of green to the sky. Even on canvas. The afternoon light slants through the studio windows when my boss calls. Emily, the conference planning committee needs you. We're absolutely swamped with the annual meeting coming up. 5 years of organizing company events flash through my mind: late nights, missed weekends, endless crisis management. My answer surprises us both. I'll be taking my full vacation time this year. Susan from marketing showed interest in event planning. She might appreciate the opportunity. Silence crackles across the connection. Then, I didn't realize you were serious about seeing back. Neither did I. The truth of it warms me like sunlight. Later, I find myself on the gallery website, cursor hovering over the application for their summer photography workshop. The old voice whispers, "Who do you think you are? What makes you special enough to create instead of serve?" I fill out the application. My hands don't shake. Mom's FaceTime call comes as I'm watching the sunset paint the mountains purple. Her face fills my screen, lined with worry that makes my stomach clench. Things are falling apart here, Emily. The Foundation's annual gala is in shambles. Your father's office is a disaster. Mark's kids miss their aunt. We need you to come back. The familiar guilt rises like bile. But behind it, something else grows stronger: the certainty that came with the first glimpse of aurora lights dancing across an endless sky. The understanding that some patterns must break to be reborn. That's exactly why I can't come back yet. My voice stays gentle but firm. The mountain stands silent witness behind me. You need to learn who you are without me managing everything, and I need to learn who I am without managing everyone. But we're family, Mom's voice cracks. Families help each other. Yes, they do. I touch the screen where her cheek would be, but help shouldn't cost someone their soul. Dad appears behind her, his reading glasses crooked like always. But something shifts in his expression as he studies me through the screen, really sees me. Maybe for the first time. I've spent so long being the answer to everyone's problems. I tell them both that I forgot how to answer my own questions. The truth feels like breaking fever. I forgot I was allowed to have questions at all. Mom starts to speak, but Dad touches her shoulder. We did this, he says quietly. Didn't we? We made you responsible for our happiness. The admission hangs between us like the northern lights, beautiful and terrible in its clarity. I'm not coming back to fix everything, I say, but I will come back to build something new, when we're all ready. After we hang up, I stand at my window, watching stars pierce the darkening sky. My reflection overlaps their light, a woman I'm just beginning to recognize, her edges no longer blurred by everyone else's needs. In my journal, I write, the hardest part about finding your voice isn't learning to speak. It's learning to stop apologizing for having something to say. The aurora flames across the night, green and violet ribbons dancing above the snow. I take out my camera, adjusting the settings with growing confidence. Not perfect, not servile. Just present, claiming my space under these impossible lights. My phone buzzes one last time. A text from Jessica. I signed up for a cooking class. I thought it was time I learned to read a recipe without calling you. I miss you, but I'm starting to understand. I smile, letting the message sit unanswered for now. Outside my window, the lights continue their eternal dance, asking nothing, demanding nothing, simply being. Tomorrow, I'll try to paint them again. The day after, maybe I'll write about them. Or maybe I'll just watch, learning from their quiet radiance how to illuminate my own sky. The night deepens. I remain awake, watchful, finally author of my own story. In this atmosphere, 3 weeks passed, and now it was time to return home. The front door of my apartment clicks shut behind me. 3 weeks in Alaska changed more than just my perspective, it rearranged my soul. My suitcase stands by the door, but I leave it there, walking through rooms that suddenly feel foreign. Everything looks exactly as I left it, yet nothing feels the same. The filing cabinet stuffed with family birthday lists and event timelines. The drawer of emergency supplies for last-minute celebrations. The calendar marked with everyone's appointments but my own. Time to redecorate, I whisper, my voice stronger than it used to be. I spend the next hour moving furniture. The heavy oak desk that anchored my role as family secretary now faces the window instead of the wall. Sunlight streams across its surface, warming the wood. In its place, I hang the photograph I took under the aurora borealis, streaks of green and violet dancing across a star-filled sky. The frame cost more than I'd usually spend, but watching the northern lights paint themselves across my wall feels worth every penny. My phone buzzes. 3 separate texts about the upcoming charity auction Mom chairs every spring. I delete them without responding. The family group chat pings with my cousin's baby shower plans. Another delete. My brother needs help coordinating Dad's retirement party. No, I say aloud to the empty room, and the word feels clean and bright on my tongue. Not this time. The afternoon mail brings a postcard. Mom's familiar handwriting covers both sides, cramped and urgent. You deserved better, I see that now. Please come home when you're ready as our daughter, not our help. My fingers trace the edges of the card. The words sink in slowly, like snow melting into soil. She's trying. They all are. Sunday dinner looms like a test. I drive to my parents' house, empty-handed, no casserole, no dessert, no clipboard of conversation topics to keep things running smoothly. Just me, wearing a soft green sweater and carrying nothing but my car keys. Mark opens the door. His eyes drop to my empty hands, then back to my face. Hey, Em. He steps aside, then hovers awkwardly. I'm supposed to be setting the table. Want to show me how? He catches himself. Never mind, I'll figure it out. The sounds from the kitchen are different tonight. Pots clang. Something smells like it's burning. My sister's kids race past with handfuls of silverware, giggling as they arrange place settings with more enthusiasm than accuracy. Mom appears in the doorway, flour streaked across her cheek. Emily, you're early. She wipes her hands on her apron, starts to reach for me, then pulls back. I mean, you're right on time. Just on time. I smile. Need help? No. The word bursts from her like a firecracker. I mean, yes, but no, Jessica's kids are handling dessert. We're learning. It's messy, but we're learning. The table looks nothing like my perfectly arranged settings of the past. Forks point different directions. The napkins are unfolded. Someone put the water glasses on the left. But when we sit down, the food is hot, the conversation flows, and for the first time in years, I can focus on chewing instead of orchestrating. Dad stands, lifting his glass. The light catches his wedding ring, the same one I polished every anniversary until it sparkled. To Emily, he says, voice rough. Not for what she does, but for who she is. The words land like petals. Soft, weightless, real. After dinner, Mom catches me in the hallway. Would you? She twists her fingers together. The holiday party. Would you teach me? Not do it, just show me how. I want to learn. I study her face, the new lines around her eyes, the way she holds herself like she's afraid of taking up too much space, just like I used to. Yes, I tell her. I'll teach you, but you do the work. She nods, relief softening her shoulders. In the living room, Mark struggles with the coffee maker. Jessica's kids stack dishes with exaggerated care. My father white counter without being asked. That night, I drive to the outskirts of town where the city lights fade. The spring sky spreads above me, a whisper of green dancing at the Edgesaur local version of the aurora. I set up my camera, frame the shot, and step into it. The timer clicks. In the photo, half my face glows green and violet, like an echo of Alaska's sky. I post it online with words that feel like truth. You weren't born to serve. You were born to shine. My phone lights up with notifications. Not from family this time, but from strangers sharing their own stories of invisibility and emergence. A woman who left her law firm after 30 years of making coffee. A man who stopped coaching his son's team to finally write his novel. A teacher who learned to say no to unpaid overtime. I put my phone in my lap and pick up the course catalog from the local arts center. My first painting class starts Tuesday. Next month, I interview for a photography expedition to Iceland. My calendar fills with my own dreams instead of other people's needs. The northern lights shimmer in my car window, reflected in the glass as I drive back to my apartment. I watch them dance, remembering what the guide in Alaska told me. The aurora doesn't demand attention, it just shows up, and people travel across the world to see it. I touch the window glass, my fingerprint leaving a mark on the pane. Some journeys cross oceans, others cross the boundaries we build inside ourselves. Both kinds change you forever. Looking at my rear window, I see a face who finally owns her light. She doesn't hide it under perfect table settings or flawless schedules. She lets it spill out, messy and beautiful, painting the sky with her own colors. I pull over, then pick up my phone one last time, adding a question to my post. The scariest journey isn't to Alaska, it's to your authentic self. Have you ever had to leave to be seen, or did you find another way? Your story might help someone else find their voice. The comments flow in, and each one a small light joining mine. Together we shine. The leather notebook digs into my palms. Grandmother's gift, now worn smooth from years of documenting every slight, every absence, every moment I wasn't enough. I grip it tighter beneath my graduation gown, anchoring myself to its familiar texture while the scholarship ceremony drones on around me. 3 rows from the back, Mom shifts in her chair. The coral dress she bought for Paige's graduation tomorrow catches the auditorium lights. Dad checks his watch for the 4th time in 10 minutes. They're here for the practice run, of course. The real celebration comes tomorrow when my twin sister gets her communications degree. And now, President Chen's voice cuts through my thoughts. We present our highest academic honor, the Franklin Ledger Fellowship. My pulse quickens. The leather grows slick against my palms. This year's recipient exemplifies extraordinary resilience. She pauses, scanning the crowd. Working 3 jobs while maintaining perfect grades, Brooke Ellis showed us what determination truly means. Mom's head snaps up. Dad's hand freezes mid-reach for his phone. Without family financial support, Miss Ellis cleaned classrooms at dawn, shelved books until midnight, and still earned the highest GPA in her class. The words echo through the auditorium. Each achievement lands like a stone in still water, rippling through 2 decades of carefully maintained family fiction. Paige blinks rapidly, the way she always does when her world tilts sideways. Please join me in celebrating a young woman who refused to let circumstances define her future. The audience rises. The standing ovation thunders through my bones, but I barely hear it. 23 years of invisibility crystallize in this moment. I rise on legs that should shake but don't, muscle memory from thousands of pre-dawn shifts keeping me steady. Through the sea of faces, I catch Professor Greer's eye. He nods once, the mentor who saw me when no one else bothered to look. The notebook's spine cracks as I clutch closer. 4 minutes. That's all that separated Paige and me at birth. 4 minutes that somehow stretched into a chasm of new dolls versus hand-me-downs, of precious girl versus you're tough, you'll manage. Mom's voice echoes from a dozen childhood fevers. Paige needs extra attention when she's sick. Then to me, always to me. You're strong, honey, you'll be fine. The podium looms closer with each step. My heels click against hardwood, a steady rhythm like the countless nights I paced the library stacks, memorizing finance terms while shelving books. The same shoes, polished weekly, lasted all 4 years. Unlike Paige's closet full of options, I couldn't afford replacements. Last year's honors banquet plays through my mind, the empty chairs where my parents should have been. Paige's choir solo took priority, like always. My English teacher, Mrs. Martinez, drove me home after I accepted the valedictorian medal. The streetlights illuminated her car's dashboard while revelation settled into my bones. This is how it's always going to be. But I applied to college anyway, filled out every scholarship form, worked every shift, studied through meals I couldn't afford to eat. The podium stands before me now. Solid wood, worn smooth by years of speakers. I place my grandmother's notebook beside the microphone, its pages holding the weight of everything unspoken. The audience waits. President Chen smiles encouragement. Professor Greer leans forward slightly. Even the corporate recruiters in the front row focus intently, seeing me. Really seeing me. My parents' faces swim in the back of the auditorium, frozen in matched expressions of shock. The perfect family portrait finally cracks. I open my mouth to speak, 23 years of silence ready to shatter. But looking at them now, I realize something that straightens my spine and steadies my voice. I don't need their approval anymore. I never did. Thank you, President Chen. My voice rings clear through the speakers. This honor belongs not just to me, but to everyone who helped me recognize my own worth. The words flow smooth and strong, like water breaking through a dam. In the back row, Mom's hand flies to her throat. Dad's shoulders stiffen. Paige's rapid blinking reaches hummingbird speed. But their reactions don't matter anymore. My truth echoes through the auditorium, witnessed at last by hundreds. The leather notebook holds 2 decades of invisible achievements. Tonight, finally, the world sees what was written in its pages all along. I am Brooke Ellis, and I am enough. The applause swells around me as I step down from the podium after I gave my speech. Professor Greer reaches out to shake my hand, his weathered face creasing into a proud smile. Behind him, a cluster of corporate recruiters whisper and nod, their business cards already appearing like magic between manicured fingers. Extraordinary presentation, Miss Ellis. A woman in a crisp charcoal suit extends her hand. We'd love to discuss opportunities at Gwen Sachs. Before I can respond, my mother's voice cuts through the crowd. Brooke, darling. Her coral dress parts the sea of black graduation gowns like a salmon swimming upstream. Dad trails behind, his expression hovering between pride and confusion. Paige blinks rapidly beside them, her fingers twisting the program into accordion folds. You should have told us it was this serious. Mom's smile stretches wide, brittle as spun sugar. Her hand lands on my shoulder, squeezing just a bit too hard. The leather notebook burns against my ribs where I tucked it inside my gown. Would you have listened? Her fingers tighten, then release. The question hangs between us, heavy as storm clouds. Margaret Ellis. Mom turns to the Goldman recruiter, social autopilot engaging. I'm Brooke's mother. We're just so proud of her achievement. Achievement. Singular. As if the last 4 years could be condensed into this one moment of public recognition. A memory rises, sharp as broken glass. Senior year, college acceptance letters spread across our kitchen table. Mom beaming at Paige. We'll cover everything at Michigan, sweetheart. Your father and I want you to focus on the full college experience. Then, turning to me, you're smart, Brooke. You'll figure it out. $80,000. That's what they invested in one twin while leaving the other to drown. Actually, Professor Greer's voice cuts through my thoughts. Brooke figured out quite a lot. That's why I nominated her for the fellowship. He turns to address my parents directly. In 15 years of teaching, I've never seen a student work harder. Dad's jaw tightens. Well, if she'd just asked for help? Richard. Mom's voice carries the false brightness of a department store greeting. She's already pulling out her phone. I need to call Susan. She won't believe our Brooke won such a prestigious award. Our Brooke. The possessive pronoun lands like a slap. Helen from the scholarship committee mentioned you were quite the legend. A tall woman approaches, last year's Franklin ledger pin glinting on her lapel. 3 jobs while maintaining perfect grades? That's unprecedented. Mom's fingers freeze mid-dial. 3 jobs? The leather notebook weighs 1,000 pounds now. I pull it out slowly, letting the worn cover speak its own truth. Would you like to see my schedule, Mom? I kept very detailed records. Paige steps closer, her rapid blinking reaching hummingbird speed. She peers at the open page where I've documented every shift, every missed meal, every night spent sleeping at the library help desk between customers. But, her voice cracks. You were at every one of my performances. I saw you in the audience. Back row, working on homework during intermission. I flip to another page, usually between my morning cleaning shift and evening library hours. You never said anything. Dad's voice holds an accusation. You never asked. I turn another page, letting them see the entry from sophomore year. Their signatures on the emergency room forms for Paige's sprained ankle appear in stark contrast to the empty space beside my appendectomy records. Professor Greer clears his throat. The faculty reception is starting, Brooke. We'd love to have you join us. I close the notebook with quiet finality. Thank you. I'd like to celebrate with the people who supported me tonight. Brooke. Mom reaches for my arm. We're your family. Yes. I step back, joining the circle of professors and mentors who actually saw me. You are. But tonight I'm choosing to spend time with the people who noticed me before I became someone worth claiming. The Goldman recruiter hands me her card with a knowing smile. Professor Greer gestures toward the faculty lounge. Behind me I hear Mom's shaky inhale, Dad's uncomfortable cough, Paige's quiet oh. I don't turn around. My heels click against the polished floor as I walk away, each step echoing with a truth I've known since that senior year honors banquet. I don't need their approval anymore. I never did. 6 months before all this, the alarm pierces darkness at 4:30 a.m. in my small apartment. My phone screen illuminates a stack of finance textbooks, their edges worn from countless midnight study sessions. Beside them, last night's highlighted notes blurred together derivatives, statistical models, market projections. Sorry, I whisper to my roommate Sarah's sleeping form. She mumbles something incoherent and rolls over. The wall clock ticks forward mercilessly. My work uniform hangs on the closet door, pressed despite its growing threadbare patches. The same black pants, white button-up, sensible shoes I've worn since freshman year. Each item is carefully maintained because replacements aren't in the budget. Campus belongs to shadows at this hour. My footsteps echo across empty sidewalks while stars fade above century-old buildings. The janitorial closet key feels familiar in my palm, fourth key from the left, small nick on the edge. Inside, industrial cleaners and paper towels wait in neat rows. Start with the economics lecture hall. 20 minutes per classroom if I maintain my usual pace. Sweep, wipe, disinfect. My hands know the routine without conscious thought, leaving my mind free to review formulas for next week's midterm. Standard deviation equals the square root of variance. I recite under my breath, pushing the buffer across worn linoleum. Variance equals the sum of squared deviations from the mean divided by. Morning light creeps through tall windows, painting golden rectangles across freshly cleaned floors. 6 classrooms down, 2 to go. My stomach growls, reminding me yesterday's apple was my last real food. The dining hall won't open for another hour. Professor Chen arrives early to the finance department, briefcase in hand. She nods as I gather my cleaning supplies. Brooke, midterms coming up? Yes, Professor. Statistical analysis on Tuesday. Her eyes soften with something that might be a concern. I look away, focusing on coiling the vacuum cord. I don't need pity. I need to finish this shift and get to the library before my first class. The campus wakes slowly. Students drift past in expensive sweats, carrying steaming coffee cups. A group of girls laugh about last night's party. One of them wears the same North Face jacket Paige posted on Instagram yesterday. Early birthday gift from mom and dad. Love you guys so much. My phone buzzes. Another Instagram notification. Paige lounging on a beach in Cancun, fruity drink in hand. Spring break with her sorority sisters, all expenses paid. The caption reads, "Living my best life. Blessed." The library help desk chair creaks as I drop into it at 8 a.m. 3 textbooks spread open before me, notebook balanced on my knee, 20 minutes until my first class. Just enough time to review Chapter 7 if I skip breakfast again. Numbers swim across the page. My hand shakes slightly as I highlight key formulas. When did I last eat something substantial? Thursday dinner, maybe? The free pizza at the economics club meeting. You look terrible, Sarah says bluntly when I return to our room that night. She's curled on her bed, a psychology textbook open beside her. When's the last time you slept more than 4 hours? I shrug, dropping my backpack beside my desk. I'm fine. You're not fine, you're barely upright. She watches me pull out my notes. The utility bill cleared, by the way. Don't worry about your half this month. Sarah? Shut up and accept the help, Ellis. Her tone brooks no argument. You'd do the same for me. But I wouldn't, because no one in my life has ever taught me how to accept help gracefully. I stare at my finance homework until the numbers blur completely, and I fall asleep. The breaking point comes during Tuesday's midterm. Professor Greer's statistical analysis exam sprawls across my desk, but the formulas I've memorized dissolve into meaningless symbols. My hands tremble. The room tilts sideways. Someone calls my name from very far away. Then darkness swallows everything. I wake to fluorescent lights and concerned faces. The health center's paper-covered exam table crinkles beneath me. Professor Greer stands near the door, arms crossed. Exhaustion and mild malnutrition, the nurse says crisply. When did you last eat a proper meal? I try to remember, but the days blur together. Professor Greer's frown deepens. I found your work schedule, he says quietly. 3 jobs plus a full course load. Why didn't you apply for a teaching assistant position? The stipend would cover. I didn't think. My voice cracks. I'm used to handling things alone. He pulls a chair closer. Miss Ellis, I've watched you for months. Your analysis of market trends is graduate level. Your paper on emerging cryptocurrency regulations was exceptional. He pauses. The Franklin Ledger Fellowship was created for students exactly like you. The words don't compute. The Franklin Ledger Fellowship, the most prestigious award on campus. Full tuition, living stipend, guaranteed internship. But that's for exceptional students, I whisper. Yes. His eyes hold mine. It is. The nurse returns with juice and crackers. My hands shake as I reach for them. Small bites, she instructs. Your body needs time to readjust. Professor Greer stands. Rest today. We'll discuss the fellowship nomination tomorrow. He stops at the door. You've earned this, Brooke. Allow yourself to accept it. After the rest at the emergency room, I return to my apartment. That night, I curl in my bed with grandmother's notebook. Its pages hold years of carefully documented invisible achievements. Academic awards accepted alone. Medical bills paid in secret. 3 jobs balanced against perfect grades. But tonight, I add something new. The first entry that feels like hope instead of evidence. Professor Greer sees me, really sees me, and he thinks I'm worth investing in. Sarah's gentle snoring fills our dark room. For the first time in years, I close my eyes without setting an alarm. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but tonight, just for tonight, I allow myself to rest. The fellowship email arrives 3 weeks later. I read it 7 times, each word sinking deeper. Pleased to inform you. Exemplary academic achievement. Demonstrated resilience. My thumb hovers over Mom's contact information. The last text from her was 2 months ago. Don't forget Paige's spring concert. I set the phone down without calling. This moment belongs to me first. To the girl who cleaned classrooms at dawn, who studied through meals she couldn't afford, who built herself into something extraordinary while no one was watching. The girl who finally learned she was enough all along. The next day at campus, Professor Greer smiles when I tell him my decision. "They'll find out eventually," he says gently, "at the ceremony." I know. I trace the worn edges of my notebook. But I need to own this victory myself before they try to claim it. He nods, understanding in his eyes. "Well then, Miss Ellis, shall we discuss your interview preparation?" The momentum shifts after that. Professor Greer arranges a teaching assistant position with flexible hours. The library supervisor adjusts my schedule around fellowship commitments. Sarah implements what she calls Operation Force Brooke to sleep sometimes. My new support network grows slowly, carefully. The graduate student who leaves sandwiches from the cafeteria when I work late. The study group that becomes family over shared textbooks and coffee. Professor Chen offering career advice between classes. For the first time, I understand what it means to be seen, to be valued, to be worthy of investment. The ceremony invitation arrives in March. Heavy cream paper, gold embossing. Family attendance requested, it reads. My hand doesn't shake when I finally make the call. "Mom, I won something. It's kind of a big deal." A day after the ceremony, the diploma catches the afternoon sunlight, gold lettering shimmering against heavy cream paper. 3 certificates fan across my desk. Outstanding academic achievement, Franklin Ledger Fellowship, Department Honors in Finance. My fingers trace the raised seal on each one, muscle memory from countless nights counting tips at the campus coffee shop. My phone buzzes. Another job offer, this one from Goldman Sachs, the 4th today. I open my grandmother's notebook, comparing the Boston position's details against my carefully crafted criteria. Higher starting salary, better advancement track, 3,000 miles between me and Michigan. Perfect. The next week, I went to my sister's graduation ceremony. "Brooke," Mother's voice carries through the student union's open doors. "Stand with your sister for photos." Paige shifts in her coral dress, her own communications diploma clutched loosely. Mother positions us against a brick wall, camera raised. "Closer together, girls. Brooke, fix your hair." Paige, that beautiful smile. The same directions she's given since our first day of kindergarten. Only now Professor Greer watches from across the courtyard, his expression thoughtful. Now the university president pauses on her way past, noting the family dynamics with shrewd eyes. "Richard," Mother beckons Father over. "Come meet Dr. Anderson. She's chair of the finance department. Our Brooke has done so well there." Our Brooke. The possessive pronoun lands like a stone in my stomach. Father extends his hand, all corporate polish. "Richard Ellis. We've always known Brooke had potential in finance," takes after my side of the family. Professor Anderson's eyebrows lift slightly. She was there last semester when I fainted during office hours, too hungry to focus after 3 straight night shifts. She knows exactly how much family support I received. I step away from the photo opportunity, circling through clusters of proud families to deliver my prepared thank you notes. Professor Greer, the library supervisor who approved my flexible schedule, the scholarship committee members who saw past my lack of extracurriculars to recognize raw determination. Miss Ellis, a recruiter from Deloitte touches my elbow. "Have you considered our Boston office? The starting bonus is competitive." "Thank you, Boston?" Mother materializes beside me. "But that's so far." "Richard, did you hear that? Surely one of the Michigan firms would be more suitable. Close to family." I meet the recruiter's eyes. "I'll email you my decision by 5. The reception flows around us, champagne toasts, proud parental speeches, siblings squabbling over restaurant choices. I stand at its edges, watching, documenting. Mother snaps photos she never bothered to take before. Father drops names and hints about connections he could provide. Paige blinks rapidly, processing the shifting landscape where she's no longer the automatic center of attention. My phone chimes with her text. Mom keeps asking about my career plans now. Thanks a lot. The sun slips lower, casting long shadows across the quad. Parents begin herding graduates toward celebration dinners. Mother grabs my arm as I reach for my bag. We have reservations at Giovanni's. Her fingers dig in slightly. Your father's treating, a special dinner for our accomplished girls. I gentle myself free. Actually, I'm having dinner with my study group. We made plans weeks ago. But, Mother's eyes fill with tears. We should be together as a family, especially now that. She gestures vaguely at my certificates. Now that what, Mom? Now that I've proven myself worth celebrating. That's not fair. We always believed in you. No. The word comes quiet but firm. You believed in my ability to handle being ignored. There's a difference. Father steps forward, checkbook appearing like a shield. Look, if this is about money, I can help with graduate school. We should have offered sooner. I've already accepted a fellowship at Boston University. Full ride plus stipend. I slide my phone from my pocket, pulling up the email. I also accepted the position at Wellington, their Boston office. Mother gasps. 3 weeks? You're leaving in 3 weeks? The apartment lease is signed, movers scheduled. I touch my grandmother's notebook, anchoring myself. I paid the deposits with my fellowship funds. But your sister, Mother begins, has her own path to follow? I meet Paige's eyes, seeing real understanding there for the first time. Just like I have mine. The evening breeze carries the scent of fresh-cut grass and new beginnings. Around us, other families cluster and laugh, plan and celebrate. But here in our little bubble of reckoning, the only sound is the soft thud of carefully constructed fiction collapsing under the weight of truth. I shoulder my bag, certificates secure inside. Thank you for coming to the ceremony. I have dinner plans to keep. Mother reaches for me, tears spilling now. We're sorry, honey. We never meant. I know. The words come softer than I expected. But I needed that before I proved myself worthy. I needed it when I was hungry and scared and alone. I needed it every time you chose Paige's smallest moments over my largest ones. I turn away, then pause. Look back one final time. I don't need it now. With this burden taken off, I direct myself to my study group cafe. The study group waits at our regular table in the library cafe. These brilliant, broken strivers who became my real family. We raise plastic cups of cheap champagne, celebrating survival and success and the power of deciding our own worth. My phone lights up with Mother's incoming call. I silence it, smiling as Maria launches into her favorite story about my first all-nighter in the accounting lab. Soon we'll scatter to our separate cities, separate lives. But tonight we're together, these people who saw me before any awards made me visible. The certificates in my bag hold more than academic recognition. They're permission slips for the future I chose. Proof that the quiet girl with the worn notebook knew her own value all along. I just needed the world to catch up. 3 weeks later, the last box seals with a satisfying snap. 3 years of textbooks, budget spreadsheets, and hard-won independence packed away for Boston. My grandmother's leather notebook rests on top, waiting. A knock echoes through the half-empty apartment. 3 sharp raps, then 2 softer ones. Mom's signature pattern, unchanged since childhood. Brooke? Her voice floats through the door. We brought some things for you. My fingers trace the notebook's worn spine. Of course they'd show up unannounced. Success makes me visible at last. The door opens to reveal Mom clutching a cardboard box, Dad hovering behind her with his checkbook already in hand. The coral dress from graduation peeks out from under Mom's raincoat. We found these while cleaning out the attic. Mom pushes past me, setting her box on the kitchen counter. Your baby blanket, some old report cards. Those went to Paige. The words slip out before I can stop them. You gave them to her for her memory box when we turned 16. Mom's hands freeze mid-motion. Did I? Well, she probably just borrowed them. $300. Dad's voice cuts through the awkward silence. His pen hovers over the checkbook. For moving expenses. First month's rent too if you need it. The leather notebook catches the afternoon light. Its pages hold every borrowed memory, every financial slight, cataloged in my careful handwriting. No thank you. I keep my voice steady, the same tone I used during pre-dawn cleaning shifts. I've already paid the deposit and the moving company. But Boston's so expensive. Mom's fingers twist her pearl necklace. We want to help now that we understand. Now that I've proven myself worth the investment, the words taste like bitter coffee, like endless nights shelving books for minimum wage. I cross to my desk and pull out the accordion file I've maintained since freshman year. Every pay stub, every receipt, every scholarship, rejection, and acceptance lined up in perfect rows. Let me show you something. The first folder opens to reveal a carefully highlighted calendar. Here's my appendix surgery sophomore year. You were at Paige's tennis tournament. The hospital bill's attached. I paid it with my library overtime. Mom sinks onto a moving box. We didn't know. Here's my tuition payment schedule. Another folder, another set of highlighted columns. And here's the wire transfer for Paige's study abroad program. Same semester. Now, listen here. Dad's voice rises, sharp with defensive anger. We gave you opportunities. To be strong? To figure it out myself? The next folder contains every award ceremony program they missed. You gave me exactly what you thought I deserved. Nothing. A text buzzes on my phone. Paige. Mom says you're being unreasonable. We're family. The word settles like dust in the emptying apartment. Family. The same argument they've wielded for 23 years. I'm returning these. I hand Mom a small box of borrowed items, an old calculator, 2 textbooks, a winter coat I'd outgrown. Everything's been cleaned and repaired. You don't have to do this. Mom's tears look genuine for once. We can start over, be closer. No. The certainty in my voice surprises even me. We can't. I lift my grandmother's notebook, its pages heavy with 2 decades of unspoken truth. You taught me independence by refusing to support me. You taught me strength by never offering comfort. You taught me self-reliance by showing me I could only count on myself. Dad's anger cracks, revealing something that might be regret. We thought. I know what you thought. The words flow smooth and clear, like final entries in a closing ledger. You thought I didn't need you. Now? I gesture to the packed boxes, the job offer letter from Boston framed on the wall. You were right. I don't. Please. Mom stands, reaching for me. Don't punish us for finally seeing you. This isn't punishment. I step back, my spine straight from years of carrying my own weight. This is independence, the kind you always said you valued. Paige appears in the doorway, her rapid blinking betraying her distress. You can't just leave. I've been leaving since we were 5 and you got the new bicycle. The memory rises, sharp and clear. I just didn't have anywhere to go until now. The silence stretches between us, 23 years of invisible labor laid bare. Mom's tears turn messy, genuine grief replacing manipulation. Dad's shoulders slump, his checkbook forgotten. And Paige finally stops blinking, really seeing me for perhaps the first time. I'll send my new address once I'm settled. I open the door wider, a clear dismissal. We can talk about boundaries then. They file out slowly, trailing missed opportunities and too late remorse. The door closes with a soft click that echoes like certainty. I stand alone in the apartment, surrounded by boxes labeled with my future. The leather notebook warms in my hands, its pages containing everything I am, everything I've survived, everything I've become. I am Brooke Ellis, and I am free. 3 years after settling in Boston, I have started developing my career. The morning sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting golden stripes across my desk. From the 32nd floor of one financial center, Boston spreads below like a promise kept. My fingers trace the worn leather spine of grandmother's notebook, now surrounded by industry awards and bound quarterly reports. Miss Alice? Sarah, my intern, hovers in the doorway. Dark circles rim her eyes, familiar shadows I remember from my own college days. I finished the Miller audit, but something doesn't add up in the third quarter projections. I wave her in, gesturing to the chair across from me. Show me where you're stuck. She spreads her papers across the polished mahogany, hands trembling slightly. The same tremor I used to hide during dawn shifts cleaning classrooms, during midnight hours shelving books. I see myself in her determination, in the way she stretches her lunch budget with peanut butter sandwiches and free office coffee. Walk me through your process, I say, using the words Professor Greer once offered me like a lifeline. While Sarah explains, my phone buzzes. Mom's weekly text. Thinking of you, sweetie. Dad and I saw your company mentioned in the journal. A year ago, her words would have tied my stomach in knots. Now they float past like autumn leaves on the Charles River below. Notable but no longer earth-shattering. Sorry, Sarah mumbles, misreading my momentary distraction. I know you're busy. I have all the time you need. The words emerge fierce and certain. Someone once made time for me when I needed it most. Later that day, walking into my weekly therapy session, I notice Dr. Chen has rearranged her office. The afternoon light catches her silver hair as she settles into her chair. How are things with the mentorship program? Growing. I sink into the familiar leather couch. We're up to 15 students now, full scholarships plus living stipends. She nods, knowing the weight behind those numbers. We've spent months untangling the complex web of family dynamics, of being the strong one who never needed help until I almost broke from carrying the weight alone. And the birthday celebration last week? My lips curve, remembering. No forced smiles or careful conversations about Paige's latest achievements. Just my chosen family, Sarah and the other mentees, Professor Greer and his wife, colleagues who've become friends. For the first time, the candles on my cake lit up faces that truly saw me. The buzz of my phone interrupts. Dad's annual birthday call, 3 days late. His voice carries the same awkward distance it has since the graduation ceremony, since I stopped pretending his approval meant anything. The Boston partner mentioned you're doing exceptional work. Thank you. Simple words, neither seeking nor rejecting. Progress, Dr. Chen would say. Paige visited last month, alone. We walked the public garden, feeding ducks and carefully navigating the space between sisterhood and history. I never understood, she said, watching a mother swan guide her cygnets. How hard you worked, how much they missed. I didn't answer immediately, letting the words settle between us like the falling leaves. Neither did I for a long time. That afternoon with Paige felt like a turning point, small, quiet, but real. Her words didn't rewrite the past, but they softened it, making space for something new to grow. Maybe that's why, when the award ceremony approached, I didn't hesitate. And with this statement, I finished my therapy session and went home. The next week after the ceremony, the Industry Excellence Award sits on my credenza, crystal catching the late afternoon sun. The ceremony invitation said, "Family welcome," the same words that once sent anxiety spiraling through my chest. This time, I did it without expectation or dread. They came anyway. I spotted them in the back row, much like that first graduation ceremony. But everything had shifted, like tectonic plates, moving inches over years until the landscape transformed completely. Their presence or absence no longer defined my worth. The Ellis Family Scholarship for Independent Students launched last quarter. The selection committee meeting runs late, files spread across the conference room table. Each application tells a story I recognize: the carefully calculated budgets, the multiple jobs, the quiet determination to build something from nothing. Your grandmother's quotations really resonate with the applicants, Professor Greer mentions, sorting through essays. He's flown in to help select the first recipients, his silver hair and kind eyes unchanged by the years. My fingers find the familiar texture of her notebook, the pages soft from decades of turning. The quote that saved me now appears on every scholarship letter. You don't need the world to see you, you just need to see yourself. I slipped the notebook back into my bag, its presence grounding me like it always has. What was once a lifeline is now a legacy, quiet proof of how far I've come and how far I can help others go. As I exit the building after the meeting and step into the golden hush of afternoon, a voice stops me when I walk through the public garden. The crisp autumn air filling my lungs, a young woman approaches. Miss Ellis, I heard your speech at the financial literacy workshop. She clutches a worn backpack, vulnerability warring with determination in her eyes. Could I ask for your advice? I led her to a bench near the swan boats, the same spot where Paige and I began rebuilding our relationship as adults. Opening grandmother's notebook, I share the wisdom that carried me from invisible daughter to woman standing firmly in her own light. The late afternoon sun paints everything in amber and possibility. Somewhere across the city, my mother's texts wait unanswered. My father's voicemails sit unheard. They're learning, slowly, to accept the daughter they never truly knew. But their acceptance stopped mattering the moment I accepted myself. I am Brooke Ellis, mentor, sister, survivor, the strong one who turned that label from burden to triumph. The invisible daughter who built herself into a lighthouse for others searching through the same darkness. The young woman leans forward, hope replacing hesitation in her eyes. Time stretches between us like a bridge, carrying my grandmother's wisdom forward to the next generation of invisible daughters learning to see themselves clearly at last.